Hi, second graders, it's Mrs. Cluin, and it's writing time. Today we are getting down to the actual writing of our monster story. I am so excited, and I know you guys are too. Before we start writing, I want to go over one thing with you, and this is what I call a hook. Now, a hook, I'm sure some of you have gone fishing and you put out your line and then you catch a fish, and what happens to the fish? It gets caught on the hook. Well, the beginning of a story, we want to hook our reader in. Because guess what? When you pick up a book, and I know you guys have done this, and you read the first page of the story, if it doesn't interest you, what do? You shut it and you put it away, and you may not ever pick it up again. So, as awesome writers that we all are, we need something to hook our reader in for them to say, I really want to read this whole story. So let me teach you a couple of different hooks that you guys can use.
Great writers have interesting introductions as their very first sentence in their stories. You guys can catch your reader's attention by writing a hook. When we start writing our monster story, I want each of you to choose a hook to start your story. You can choose a hook such as an opinion. I believe that monsters are horrible. You can even start it with a question. Have you ever seen a monster underneath your bed? You can start it with an onomatopoeia. That's a different sound. Screech! I heard a board creak under my bed. You could even start your story by describing the setting like we did a couple of days ago. It was midnight on a dark, stormy night. You can start with an interjection, which is just a quick yikes, whoa, yummy, brr. You can even start it with an action, such as, I won an award. I'm scared of monsters. Some writers like to start off with something funny. Flop. My pillow fell on the floor and the monster ate it up. All these hooks are great ways to start your story. I'm going to put this hooks page in Seesaw so that you can review it so you can choose one to start your story. All right, let's begin to write.
All right, second graders, before you start writing, I want you to set up a writing station. At my writing station, I have a sharpened pencil. I have some writing paper, and this actually was the paper that we sent home with you when you did the pickup the other day of supplies, so get out that paper. I have a picture of my monster so I can remember exactly what he looked like, and I can use this in my story. I have my hooks here, which you guys have in Seesaw, but I've already decided what hook I'm going to use, so you may or may not need this. I have my setting of my story that we wrote out the other day that included my place, time, and environment of the story. And then finally, I have the story plan that we completed with the rough sketch or outline of the flow of my story. I'm now going to begin with my writing. So I'm going to start with setting the scene and introducing my character, which is my step one. I also have to decide which hook to use. Well, for me, I'm going to start my hook as setting the setting. Actually, I already wrote my story, so I'm going to read that to you now. I just did the very first part today. I decided on a hook. I then introduced my character. I talked about my setting, and I introduced the problem of the story, and that's the writing that I did today. Ready to listen?
It was a dark, cold, stormy night around 10 p.m., but I still hadn't fallen asleep. Usually by now, my monster would have scared me to sleep. Then I leaned over my bed to look for my monster, but I found a note instead. It said, "Gone to Paris for Fashion Week. I'll be back in a week. Mabel." What was I going to do? I needed a monster under my bed. How was I supposed to fall asleep now? I tried to sleep, but I couldn't without Mabel. I missed her huge yellow eyes and her slime green pigtails. I missed her pink puffy arms and her sharp pointy purple fingernails. How will I ever sleep without Mabel? I just had to have a monster.
Okay, second graders, it's now your turn to write your story. Just take note of how I wrote mine, in that I stayed in between the blue lines to do my writing. I kept every sentence in between the blue lines. I then skipped the line here, and this is going to allow me to go back and edit my work after I've completed my story. And I really used my best handwriting and took my time. So I'd like you guys to do the same. So have fun writing. I can't wait to hear your stories.